So close your skin stays smoother longer. And that's something all goddesses are entitled to. Now, individually sealed blades are easy to store, easy to change. Venus will be the goddess in you.
Hello, Istanbul. So I just wanted to start by saying that I travel a lot, and I always fly on Turkish Airlines, and I love coming to Istanbul for one reason. You see, in Israel, we have what we call boğaziçi, and obviously it comes from börek here in Turkey. And I have a confession. Börek here in Turkey, and Turkish food in general, is so much better than the boğaziçi that we have in Israel. Just please don't tell them I told you that. Now, in regards to the video that you just saw, combining Venus, the Bananarama song, and Venus, the brand of razor blades, I will introduce this talk with one observation. I do not remember any online ads that I saw yesterday. But 30 years after seeing that TV advertisement, I still want to shave my legs whenever I hear the song Venus. And in case you have not noticed, I'm a guy. Now, so in that context, I see many marketers today facing many difficult questions when it comes to the media that we use. Should we get quick sales or build a brand? Should we be digital only, or does traditional media still have a role? Should we target people individually or reach all potential category buyers? Well, I will answer those questions today by arguing that we are seeing the tyranny of short-term direct response that is hurting our long-term advertising effectiveness. And then I will use the latest research to show how we need to get out of our bubble and rethink our approach to media planning in 2020 and beyond. But first, a brief introduction. After careers in both journalism and marketing, I now write the Promotion Fix column on marketing and media for The Drum, and I travel around the world to speak about what I report. I use my dual experiences to discuss the marketing industry with the mindset of a neutral journalist who has nothing to sell except his ideas. So here we go. I will begin with a little theory. Now, we have always had two main advertising tactics: brand advertising and direct response. Brand advertising builds brands among all potential category buyers for long-term benefit. Direct response, or direct marketing, gets immediate, trackable responses from targeted people. The benefits of brand advertising are that it's creative and memorable. It's subtle and not too annoying. People tolerate brand advertising because sometimes it is even entertaining. Again, I remember TV ads that I saw 30 years ago. I do not remember any Google AdWords or Facebook ads that I saw yesterday. But the negatives of brand advertising are that it can be expensive, and the results are not immediately and easily seen in some analytics dashboard. Now, one benefit of direct response is that it can be cheaper. And just think about how often we see online marketers wondering how to do some quick cheap hack for something. Direct marketing is also trackable in a way that we cannot do for brand advertising or PR campaigns. But the most important negative aspect of direct response is that it is annoying. When a campaign is cheap, the ads will also be cheap. People tolerate brand advertising, but they hate direct marketing. And that negative impression, so to speak, is part of the negative aspects of online advertising today. Now, over the past 20 years, online marketing has gone all in on direct response. Most online ads today are actually direct response and not brand advertising. Ad tech such as Google and Facebook is all the rage, but those platforms are largely just new ways to do direct marketing. Now, let's meet Les Bennett and Peter Field. They are two Brits who are probably the smartest marketing academics in the world after The Good Professor. And they have released many insightful reports based on IPA data from the UK going back many years. And some of their most important research distinguishes and compares the results of brand advertising and direct response. Every time that you do a direct response campaign, you'll see a quick spike in leads or revenue, the line in yellow. But you always hit an upper limit in short-term results. Now, when you look at brand advertising, the line in brown, you don't see the results of brand advertising campaigns for a minimum of 6 months, if not 1 to 2 years. And when you add the two lines together, you'll see how combining direct response and brand advertising leads to the greatest long-term results. And why is that important? Because company valuations, real ones, not those of WeWork, are based on future cash flows, not present cash flows. Here's a metaphor. Direct response is picking the fruit. Those customers are ripe, they're down the funnel, and they're ready to buy. Brand advertising is watering the tree so that more fruit will grow in the future. But then everything went wrong and we forgot that principle. This part of Bennett and Field's chart at the top right explains the rise of short-termism today. Throw money at direct response or activation, and you see a quick, albeit small, result. But if you start a brand advertising campaign, nothing happens immediately. No dials move. No numbers and dashboards go up. Because, you have to wait at least 6 months to see the results. Now, Google and Facebook today have a duopoly on online ad spend because they got marketers addicted to quick metrics. But those quick metrics are not always the best metrics. Now, let's go back to Bennett and Field's research. So, yes, you want to build a brand for the long term, but you need sales today. So what do? They found that the best tactical media allocation spend is to allocate 60% to brand and 40% to direct response and sales activation. That's an average. Here's something completely new that few have seen. So LinkedIn commissioned Bennett and Field to do the same research in a B2B context. And LinkedIn exclusively shared the results with me and the drum for my column. Now, the overall average is 60% to brand and 40% to activation. But what they found is that in financial services, for example, the best spend is 80% to brand and 20% to activation. And B2B, it's opposite, 54% to activation and 46% to brand. But for any brand, the most effective practice is to spend more and more on brand and less on activation as time goes on. Now, if any of you would like a copy of all of this research, just email me and I'll send you a link to my column in the drum. But despite the importance of building a brand over the long term, Google and Facebook are still pushing us to track people, collect their personal information, and hit them with cheap direct response. They want the world of Minority Report. Okay. Now, a lot of marketers watch that and think, wow, when can we do that? But remember, the 99.9% of people in the world who are not marketers saw Tom Cruise getting scanned for ads and were horrified. Remember, the world in Minority Report is a dystopia. It is a reflection of everything in the world going to hell, including the Marcom. Because if you ask the average marketer, they will say that we should be online first, or performance first, or social first, or first, or something. But marketers who say that live in a bubble of their own creation. Now, say you spend 8 hours a day doing social media for your company. Everything you read is about social media. Every conference you attend is about social media. You would develop tunnel vision and think that social media is the only channel that matters, and you would start to assume that everyone else acts and thinks like you do. But I have news for everyone. Me, all of you, and all marketers are not normal. 93% of marketers use LinkedIn. Among normal people, it's 14%. 81% of marketers use Twitter. Normal people, 22%. Now, 68% of marketers use Instagram. Normal people, 22%. The first rule in marketing is that we are not the market. The most important principle is to be customer-facing, because the best use of social media might just be selling something to marketers. Here's an example. I compiled a list of the top Facebook pages here in Turkey. Here were the top 3. I went further and further and further down the list to find the top local consumer brand. I went through many, many pages before I finally found the first local consumer brand, all the way at number 28. Kyra? I don't know, sorry. In a country of 81 million people, it has 4 million followers, meaning that only 5% of the total market follows this page to begin with. And that's being generous because we don't know how many of those followers are fake. Now, roughly 6% of a page's followers see an organic post, leaving us with 240,000 people. Only 0.22% will engage with that post, leaving us with 8,800 people. What does that mean? Only 0.3% of the total market will see organic posts, and only 0.01% of the total market will engage with those posts. So is social media truly as effective as people think? Here are 2 examples. Go into your personal Facebook profile and look at your last 100 interactions. What percentage involved flesh and blood human beings, and what percentage were with consumer brands? Second, go into a supermarket and go up to random people there. Again, normal people, not marketers. And ask them, do you want to have a relationship with any of the products in your shopping cart? They will probably punch you in the face for being a pervert. Because people on social media follow politics, celebrities, entertainers, and bands, and sports teams. The last thing they think about is consumer brands. Because contrary to popular opinion, traditional media is not dead. Far from it. According to Nielsen in the US, the average adult in the US spends half of his media consumption every day on live TV and radio, what you see in the blue and purple on the left. And despite all of the new platforms over the past 10 years, the number of hours of TV consumed on a TV has remained level at 3.75 hours per day. Moreover, live TV consists of 40% of all video consumed in the US, and YouTube is second with only 16%. Facebook, 2%. What does that mean? Pivotal Research Group found that Americans, on average, watch 8 times more TV than YouTube videos. Obviously, TV is not dead, and we should not be online only or even online first. We have to be smarter than that. Because in the UK, the consumption of radio has remained level at 89% of the market for the past 7 years, which makes broadly targeted brand advertising still extremely important and effective. Here is the best ad from last year's Super Bowl in America. If you don't know, Tide is a soap for washing your clothes. And can we work on the sound again?
Or whatever this is. It's Tide. It's Tide. What makes it a Tide? Those stats. Looking at those clean clothes. What else would this be an ad for? Diamond? It lasts forever. It's time for a call for the family. No. Scream out. Tide. Tide.
It's a Tide ad. Tide.
So, we'll make every single roll out. Tide ad. So what'd you bet?
Now, of course, not all media is created equal. Some channels are better at doing certain things than others. Let's take a look. TV is the media most likely to make people laugh or feel emotional. And most importantly, people trust the ads that they see on TV. What's at the bottom of the trust list? Search and social media. But why is TV so effective? Because compared to YouTube and Facebook, TV is the media where the most people are actively watching the ads. On Facebook, people are passively seeing the ads. And on YouTube, they're pretty much ignored. So, most people actively watch ads on TV, and it is also the medium where the ads fill 100% of the screen. YouTube is 30%, and Facebook is 10%. We cannot discount the effect of screen coverage. Because of all of this, we see that running an ad on YouTube produces short-term advertising strength of 116 on a 100 basis. Facebook, 118. But TV is 144. And speaking of making you laugh, But of course, it would be foolish to spend all of our ad budgets on only TV and ignore all other media. Because the age-old advertising question is, should we show an ad once to 2 people or twice to 1 person? The best research yesterday and today has always shown that the best thing to do is the former, showing an ad once to 2 people. Because each additional time that a person sees an ad, the persuasive power decreases. It has a diminishing effect. Reach is much more important than frequency and is the primary way that brands grow. And that's another reason, by the way, why social media is not that effective, because those who follow you are those who already buy from you. The whole point of reach is to communicate to people who do not buy from you, because that is how you grow. But, of course, again, we need to build brands for tomorrow and get sales today. So should we target people individually or all potential category buyers? Yes. Should we use direct response or brand advertising? Yes. Should we think in the short term or the long term? Yes. We have a set of 2 goals that need to work together, so we need 2 strategies that are completely different but still occurring at the exact same time. And for each goal, we need to think about our tactical media mixes because, again, different media are best at doing different things. To build long-term brands, you need broad reach and mental availability that are driven by emotion. For direct response and activation, you need to target the people lowest in the funnel with rational information and communicate physical availability. And it's important to note that many in the B2B and online worlds think only about the right and never about the left. Now, here's Benenfield's plot of how each media performs. At one end, we see that sponsorships are not good for immediate activation because nobody's going to see a name on a jersey and go right to the store. But sponsorships deliver the greatest long-term brand effects. Online video, news coverage, TV, and radio are similar. But on the activation end of the spectrum, we see that print media inserts, SMS, email, and paid search are the most effective for that goal. Here's a similar map from the company Analytic Partners. Short-term efficiency is the x-axis, but long-term efficiency is the y-axis. They also show whether a given media is best for short-term or long-term results. Short-term is red, long-term is blue. So, what should we do? Of course, every company and brand will be different, but for large consumer brands, I would advocate for what I call a TV plus media mix. For any large consumer brand, TV is a no-brainer and the obvious place to start. In this one example, TV plus online video leads to greater business effects and market share gains rather than using either one alone. Analytic Partners also found that combining offline and online leads to the greatest benefits, and that combining TV with online video maximizes results virtually in every industry and category. So, reach is important, and different media are best for different goals. So the obvious answer would be just to throw money everywhere, right? If only it were that easy. Because first, your budgets are not infinite. And second, interest in products rapidly declines and annoyance increases when people see a display ad, for example, more than twice. See the chart on the right. And remember the difference between gross reach and net reach. If I see an ad on TV and Facebook, the gross reach is 2, but the net reach is 1. And the way to grow a brand is to maximize net reach and avoid duplication. But still, my own opinion is skeptical of online platforms such as Google and Facebook because of what I call the Ad Tech Middlemen. Online marketers have always assumed that reaching perfect individuals returns better results than reaching all potential category buyers. But that has never been proven, and I think I know why. Because ad tech did not cut out the middlemen. Ad tech merely replaced one set of expensive middlemen with another. Based on data from the World Federation of Advertisers, we see that we get only 25% of the value for which we pay because every ad must be sent through agencies, exchanges, and platforms within microseconds before it even appears in front of consumers. And every agency, exchange, and platform takes a cut and increases the price. In effect, we are paying $4 for $1 of advertising. Now let's look at it in the opposite way. Say you start with $1. After the ad tech middleman, ad fraud, non-viewable impressions, the few impressions actually seen by human eyeballs, and the few who actually watch an ad for more than 3 seconds, we see that we get 3 cents of real value for every dollar that we spend. Online platforms such as Google and Facebook are good for direct response, but I'm very skeptical of their advertising and brand building effectiveness. And that's average data. Here's a real world example. The Guardian in the UK bought its own online ad space in a test. And what happened? The Guardian got only 30% of the money that they paid to themselves. And why is that? In general, I agree with Nielsen's new CMO report, which found that traditional media is best for brand building at the top of the funnel, and online media is best for direct response and activation at the bottom of the funnel. But if I could summarize with one thought, it would be this. While we need sales today, we can never forget in our media planning that long-term brand building will lead to the greatest long-term results. Ad tech platforms and the marketers who use them focus so much on how to transmit and target ads that they never think anymore about how to create good ones. After all, what is the best way to sell more razor blades in the long term? Cheap direct response or building a brand with the Venus ad of today? Ladies and gentlemen, I am now off to shave my legs. Tea and sugar in your room.